the most recent push for gun control doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, not that it made a whole lot of sense to begin with, but that's beside the point. Whether you're talking about how the left recently acquired a new firearms term and then utterly misapplied it in their first attempt to use it in legislation, or whether you're talking about Chuck E. Cheese sliding completely off his cracker, something is up. And I'm starting today's video for the purpose of starting a discussion with you guys in the comments below, as much as I am giving you my perspective on what I think is going on. But before we get into that, time for a capitalism break. I have a really hard time getting behind products that declare themselves to be gray man products, as in trying to make the end user blend in more, particularly those survival bags that are covered in webbing. Well, I think Mission First Tactical actually did it this time around. The Achro is their spin on a high-quality bag with concealed carry and armor considerations in a package that looks hipster and modern rather than the typical stuff that we get in a tactical bag. And that's really the whole point. We want that bag to say, that dude is hauling a picnic of avocado and kale sandwiches with a side of oat milk, not an MP5 SD and 3 extra mags. Mission First offers VSO viewers a hefty discount with my code that you can find over at the affiliates page, and I want to say thank you very much to them for making today's video possible. If you would like a full synopsis of the Achro line, then never fear, I have exactly the video for you. I'll have it listed in the description box down below. So this discussion today, as I alluded to in the intro, is actually two parts. The first is the whole thing about the gas-operated semi-automatic firearm thing. This is an attempt to pack scary words into things. I mean, you and I don't think that they're scary because we can actually conjugate the sentence and understand what it is that it means. It is an actual term. However, what's interesting about this is they tried to write a proposed piece of legislation to more strictly regulate these things, and then in the process of doing that, they failed to write the definition properly, and the proposed legislation actually points to all semi-automatic firearms, not gas-operated semi-automatic firearms, which would be your direct impingement and your gas piston firearms, but your direct blowback firearms and your delayed blowback firearms, things like that, absolutely are included in the definition that they use. So they again found something that they thought sounded scary to point at a thing that they just don't understand. It's amazing how we can have people that know nothing about it try to write these definitions and utterly fail at it. Now, here's the thing about that. You can either say that they are ignorant, or you can say that they are using the term for an effort as a catch-all, and they intentionally misrepresented what it is that they were going after. You can either ascribe nefarious intent or ineptitude, and these days, I don't actually know which it is or which one is worse, to be completely honest. Which brings me up to the second part of the primer, which is Chuck Schumer's ill-fated attempt to bring a suite of gun control bills to the Senate floor for vote. And y'all are smart people. You remember how the Senate works, right? The endless debate unless cloture is voted for, that 60 votes thing to end the filibuster, which is integral, by the way, to the way that debate is handled between the two houses. Never underestimate the virtue and the differential nature of debate in the House and the Senate. Huge fan of the filibuster myself. That said, you remember that you got to have 2/3 votes for that, right? To get cloture and bring a bill to a vote. But Chuck has decided that he's going to go for unanimous consent, which is 100%. Unanimous consent basically bypasses the whole debate thing by saying, hey, can we all bring this to a vote? And if one person stands up and says, no, we're not bringing this to a vote, we're going to talk about it, well, then it defaults to the filibuster. That's weird. Somebody is almost certainly going to stand up and say, nah, isn't going to happen. So what is the point of bringing this to the floor? Because even if it does, by some miracle, remember that there is a slight majority in as far as the leftists are concerned in the Senate. If by some miracle it made it out of the Senate, as in the Senate passed it, it's got to go to the House of Representatives, Mr. Johnson. And that ain't going nowhere. So obviously there's a whole bunch of different things that this could be. And I want you guys to let me know what you think about these various things in the comment section down below. But the first thing that my brain goes to is they've got this new term with the gas-operated semi-automatic weapon, and they're saying it in a way to make it sound scary. And I think that they're going to continue to pack this in bill after bill after bill after bill, regardless of it passes or not, for the purposes of pounding it into the rhetoricists of the gun control movement to generate the new in-speak, if you will. So we've seen this time and time again. For months, they repeated the lies about guns being the leading cause of death in children, and they keep pounding it and pounding it and pounding it, and the age-old adage of if you say something enough, whether it's true or not, it becomes the truth. If you say the lie enough times, it becomes the truth. So I think what they're going to try to do is insert that language that they have identified as something that they think that they can make scary into the movement going forward. And to do that, they're going to continuously write these bills and throw them up there to make that term more stationary in the mindset of these lunatics that know nothing about firearms. Along those same lines, the other place that my brain goes, which is a scary place, by the way, I wouldn't suggest it. Over the course of the last several years, we have seen wanton perversion of legislative text by executive agencies that want to subvert the Constitution and infringe on your rights. See things like the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, where they took small terms and concepts that were written into the law and ran with them. Is this now an attempt by the powers that be in various positions to see that certain factions within Congress are trying to write legislation, and then these executive agencies are then going to co-opt the same terms in what they are doing, saying, see, there is a desire within the legislature to do this sort of stuff. They can't quite get it done. So what we're going to do is go in a similar direction to what certain people and certain factions within Congress are doing to kind of parallel those efforts, which is absolutely illegal, by the way. It used to be an inch to a mile. No, it is like a grain of sand, and they filled the beach with it. Jesus just took some loaves and some fish and fed the masses. These people are literally creating parking lots off of a couple pebbles. The mental gymnastics are absolutely astounding. That said, a multifaceted attack like that is exceptionally dangerous, and you guys have seen how these have gone down the last couple of years. They basically just do a thing. It takes them a couple seconds to do the thing, and then they tie it up for years worth of litigation. You can do about that is make sure that you contact your senator, whether they're anti-gun or not. It doesn't matter. It takes you a couple seconds to do it, and just be the person pushing the button, because again, to make sure that that absolutely does not happen, all we have to do is get one senator to say, yeah, no, we're going to do a filibuster on that. And then along the same lines, I suppose it could just be a new spin on the default position of unprincipled hack within the government. Gives the appearance that they're doing a thing, even though they know that it will fail, so they can say, see, look, I'm doing the thing. See, I did it. Give me some more money for my next campaign so I can continue to stay here and fleece the American people for more of their wealth, which is nothing new. This is how both political parties operate. It's the status quo. Have they now risen to the point where they're willing to just do unconstitutional things, allowing it to stick for a short period of time so they can say, see, we went as far for you guys to do unconstitutional things, and the courts struck it down. We tried. And that's why, in my opinion, I believe, and let me know if this resonates with you, that if a bill is passed, if a measure becomes law, and it is then later decided to be unconstitutional, it is my opinion that every representative, every senator, and the president, that all voted for or signed it, whoever colluded to make that law that was then deemed unconstitutional should be ineligible for service in the United States government for the rest of their life. We need to put some teeth back in the Constitution, damn it.